We're on Oholot, Perek Zayin Mishnah Bet, second Mishnah in the 7th chapter of Masechet Oholot. We're actually going to talk about Oholin. We're going to talk about tents, which we haven't really talked about at all until now. It's a really, really interesting halacha. In order to understand this halacha, we have to go back and remember what we learned at the very, very beginning of Masechet Oholot. So let's just remember that when a kli touches a dead body, that kli is still avi avot hatumah. And then the kli that touches that kli is an av hatumah. So we're going to learn that that same principle applies vis-a-vis the ohel itself, vis-a-vis a tent, an actual ohel. So says the Mishnah, Kol shipu'ei ohalin. First, let's talk about the tent itself. The shipu'ei ohalin. Shipua is the angle of the ohalim, the decline, the incline of the ohalim. Oh, the incline of the ohalim of a tent. Ohalim is like the tent itself, meaning as the tent inclines downward, the whole thing is considered like the tent itself, which makes sense. The whole thing is part of the tent. So now you have an interesting problem, because remember we said, let's go back to our picture for a second. Remember we said that that an ohel is a din of a structure, is a din of like a house, but it also is movable. It's metaltalin, because you can pitch it and unpitch it, or whatever the word is. So we're going to have that problem. Ohel shehu shofei aviyoreh, the tent, it declines and descends towards the ground. V'chaleh ad ke'etzba, and it goes down to the ground, ad ke'etzba, like the width of an etzba. Tumah ba'ohel, if there's tumah in the ohel, kelim shetachat shipuat me'im. The ohel is an ohel, and therefore any kli, any vessel that's under that incline, that's also tamei, it's in the structure. Tumah tachat shipua, the other way around. If there's tumah under the incline, same thing. Kelim sheba ohel tmeim. The vessels in the oil are tamei. It's all considered. All of this is considered. Okay, all considered part of the oil. Even if you couldn't like sit there, you couldn't live there, or you couldn't whatever. It was too low. Nonetheless, that's considered inside the structure of the ohel itself. Now, but what about the actual oil itself? So there's sort of an interesting phenomenon vis-a-vis the ohel. Tumah mitocho. If there's tumah on the inside, hanogea bo mitocho tamei tumat shiva. The person. So now we're talking about if there was tumah on the inside and then the tumah was removed. The Bartenura explains it was talking about a case where the tumah is removed. If you touch the inside, tamei tumat shiva, you're still in av hatuma, but ume'acharav tamei tumat erev. If you touch the outside, you're tamei tumat erev. So there's tumah on the inside. Let's see. He doesn't describe it, but let's say there's tumah here on the inside. If you touch and then the tumah is removed, so that the inside is considered like a kli that touched the dead body and has the din of the avi avod tumah, and therefore the person who touches the inside is still in av tumah. But if you touch the outside, if you touch the outside, tamei tumat erev, then you're only a rishon the tumah. The other way around is also true. Tumah me'acharav, if there's tumah on the outside of it, I guess it must have been touched the outside. Then it's a kli that, and then it's no longer touching. Anogea bo me'acharav, if you touch the outside, tamei tumat shiva. You're also tamei tumat shiva. You're an avatuma. But mitocho, the person who touches the inside, tamei tumat erev. He's only a rishon the tumah. Tumat erev. Let's look at the Bartenura for 1 second. Okay, if you touch the inside, remember if the tumah was on the inside, you touch the inside. V'tama, the reason is tzad pnimi shel oel, v'tzad chitzon shelo, the inside and the outside are kishnei kelim chashiv lehu. It's considered like two separate kelim. Okay, and the tzad kilape hatuma, the tzad that touched the tumah, that was the side that the tumah touched. Kekli anogea b'meit atzmo. It's like, okay, it didn't even touch it. It was klape hatuma. It was inside the tumah. It's like a kli that touches the mate. But tzad sheni, and the other side is kelim hanogim b'kelim. It's like kelim that touches kelim. Therefore, hilkach tumah b'tocho. If there's tumah in it, hanogea mitocho tamei tumat shiva. If you touch the inside, it's tamei tumat shiva, because it's havile. It's like adam shenaga b'kelim shenagu b'meit. It's like if you touch the kli that touched the mate, as we learned in the case before. Where were we? We're over here. A person who touches a kli, who touches a mate. Person touches kli, that person, as we said, is an avatuma. Sorry for all the scrolling. Okay, but if you touch the outside, you're tamei tumat erev, because it's kelim bekelim of tumat shiva. The shlishi, the third one, the person who touches the kli, that's tumat erev. And tumat me'acharav, there's tumat on the outside. I think the tumat me'acharav also is if it's ma'ahil on the outside of the tent. If a person is if the dead body is ma'ahil, even if it didn't touch, nonetheless the outside is as if it touched it, and it becomes avi avot hatuma. So it's a little bit of, and the Bartuna says either way, the tent itself, the physical tent, is av hatuma, but the side where the mate was has the din of avi avot hatuma. Really interesting, very sort of paradoxical in a sense. Mishnah says, kechatzi zayit mitocho. What if you have half a side on one side and half a side on the other side? Then hanogea bo, you touch it, bein mitocho, bein me'acharav, tamei tumat erev. There's not, you're only tuma rishon the tuma if you touch it. The tent, since it has both sides, it has a kazaya total on either side of ohel. Therefore, the tent is an avatuma. But it never became an aviyavot atuma because there was never a kazayit on one side to make it an ohel of a kazayit. So therefore, and the person who touches the tent is only tumat erev. Mikzato, next case. Mikzato mirudad al aretz. Let's say you have a tent. I'll show you the picture in Rav Posen. And part of it is mirudad al aretz. It's dragging on the ground. Okay, so you have this tent. It could be there, and it's dragging on the ground. And there's tumah under here. So is the tumah considered in the tent, or is it considered touching like a kliya metaltalin? That's the question in the Gemara in the Mishnah. Tumah tachtavo al gabav. So if there's tumah under or on top of that part that's lying on the ground, tumah botkat ve'ola bokat. Have you read it? So then the tumah just up and down. It's not in the tent. Rather, it's like tumah ritzutza, boom, boom, up and down, as we've learned before. Next case. Oh, you have your tent on in your loft, in the top of your house, in the top floor. But there's an aruba. Remember the problem of the window. Mikzato mirudad al aruba shebein bayit aliyah. So we have this problem of, remember, being chotzetz. So we have this aliyah, right? And remember, there's tumah down here. Does the tumah go and spread over here or not? So if this is an ohel, if this is an ohel, then yes, then it would block the tumah. Everyone agrees. But the question is, what happens though if it isn't an ohel? It's only over the part that's overhanging. Is this considered part of the ohel, so it blocks or not? Because if it's metaltalin, remember the ohel is makabel tumah, and something that's tameh can't block tumah itself. So the Mishnah says, Miksato mirudad al haruba. If part of it is dragged over mirudad, it's pulled over. I don't know what the word is. It's drawn over the window shebein bayit aliyah, between the house and the loft. Rabbi Yossi Omer Matzil. Rabbi Yossi says that's good enough. It's considered it's an ohel. Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says no. Eino matzil achi natui kinetiat o. Rabbi Yossi says here. Rabbi Yossi says eino. Rabbi Shimon says it does. It can't. Rabbi Yossi says it is matzil. Works. Excuse me. Rabbi Shimon says it can't save it. The whole thing is tameh. Rabbi Yossi says eino matzil achi natui. Did I get that right? Let's see. Rabbi Yossi says it's matzil. It works. Rabbi Shimon says it doesn't work until it's natui, like it oil itself. It's the oil. If the tent is pitched over the aruba, the tent is a structure. It's an ohel. And it's chotzetz in front of tumah. We'll stop here. Dedicate our learning. To remember you, my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.